Hi everybody, this is Crystal from Bagoday Crochet. So today I have a stitch tutorial for you, which is very easy to do. I'll show you how to do it. I think it looks really nice. This is called the Zig-Zag Lozenge stitch. So it is a 4-row repeat. The rows are pretty much the same, but they do catty corner each other. So that makes it have to have a 4-row repeat like that. 2 rows to catty corner, so that makes a 4-row repeat, but it's not hard. It's got some clusters in it, but I can show you very easily how to do those if you do not know how to do them. And half double crochets. So what do you think? I think it turned out well. I think this would be a very cute baby blanket. Even in the yarn that I'm using right now would work well. I think it's a baby blanket. Do you guys want to go ahead and get started on it? Let's do it. So as always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out any of my videos, crochet tutorials or yarn content or whatever you like. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this video if you enjoy it. So for the purpose of this stitch tutorial, I'm using a Plymouth yarn, a toy box. It's their toy box collection confetti yarn. It is a lightweight number 3. It's 100% acrylic. But this is just stitch tutorial. You can use any yarn that you have, any weight of yarn, because I will give you the multiples, so you can chain for as long, if you want to make a blanket out of it, for as long as you want your blanket to be in the multiple that I give you, or if you want to make a scarf out of it or a sweater out of it. I think it makes some pretty good wash rags as well. All right. And for the purpose, again, of this stitch tutorial, I'll be using a size I, which is a 5.5mm crochet hook, and always use what the yarn recommends if you do not have a pattern, and if you're going to be making up your own pattern. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to go ahead and start out with a slip knot on our hook. Now this stitch is done in an even multiple of 2. So you just want to chain whatever you're making, whether it be a scarf, a blanket, a panel to a top, a wash rag. Chain in that amount in an even number. So a multiple of 2. Alright, so I'm going to show you on a smaller scale than my swatch. But what we want to do on row 1 is we are going to do a single crochet in the second stitch from our hook. So remember, we never count the one that's on our hook. So 1, 2, in that second stitch we single crochet. And now for row 1, we're just going to work 1 single crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain. Just like this. So row 1, 1 single crochet in every stitch until you get to the end of the row. Alright, so once you make it to the end of row 1, you should have 1 less stitch than what your chain was. Okay, so now we're going to start row 2. Row 2, we are going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. Now that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. It doesn't count as anything. So we're just going to pretend like it's not even there. And we're going to work right back into this very first stitch right here. And we're going to work 2 half double crochets into that stitch. So a half double is a yarn over, go into that very first stitch, drop a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and go through all 3. So we want 2 in that first stitch. So again, yarn over, go into that same stitch, drop a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3. So there we go, 2 half double crochets in that same stitch. So now we're going to start the repeat. We're going to skip 1, and in the next stitch we're going to work a half double crochet V-stitch. So skip 1 stitch, and in the next stitch we go into it, we work 1 half double crochet, and then we chain 1 and we go back into the same stitch and work another half double crochet. So that is the half double crochet V-stitch. half double, chain 1, half double, all into the same stitch. And again, we're going to skip 1, and in the next stitch, a half double crochet V-stitch. So here I'm skipping, and I'm working to the next, and I'm going to work a half double, chain 1, and a half double, all into the same stitch. And this is what I'm going to repeat for row 2 until I get to the end of the row. Skip 1, and then a half double crochet V-stitch into the next. So half double, chain 1, half double, skip 1, in the next half double crochet V-stitch. Now I'm going to repeat this pattern until I get near the end of the row, and I'll meet back up with you towards the end. So skip 1, half double crochet V-stitch, skip 1, half double crochet V-stitch, all the way. I'll meet back up with you at the end. Alright, so I've come to the end of row 2, and I did a half double crochet V-stitch, and I have 2 stitches that remain. So what I want to do is skip 1, and I'm going to end row 2 by putting 2 half double crochets into the last stitch, and that will end row 2. Now row 3 is going to start the repeat rows. Rows 3, 4, 5, and 6 are the repeat rows. So let's go ahead and begin row 3. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So we're going to be working right here into this very first stitch here. Right here in this spot. And we're going to work 2 double crochets into that spot. Doubles. So there's 1. Go back in it. And there's 2. Like that. And now we're going to start the repeat of the row. We are going to chain 1, and we're going to go to our first half double crochet V-stitch from the previous row, so right here, and we're going to work a double crochet 3 together in that chain space. So what we're going to do is yarn over and just go right into that space, that chain 1 space. Draw up a loop and yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on our hook. We want to do that 3 times total, that being number 1. Again, yarn over, go into the exact same spot, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook. So that was 2 times. We need to do it one more time. Yarn over, go into the same spot, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops on your hook. You should have 4 loops that remain. Yarn over and go through all 4 and chain 1. And that's what we're going to repeat for row 3. We're going to do a double crochet 3 together in each one of these chain 1 spaces from the V-stitches from the previous row. So we'll jump over here to the next V-stitch from the previous row right here, and we're going to do that again. So we're going to yarn over and go into that space, draw up a loop, and yarn over excuse me, and go through the first 2 loops on your hook. Again, yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2. That's 2 times we've done that. One more time. Yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2. You'll have 4 loops that remain. Yarn over and go through all 4 and chain 1. See how easy that is? You're making these little clusters. So we jump over here to the next V-stitch and we repeat. So we yarn over and go into it, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops. Again, yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops. One more time, yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops. 4 loops remain. Yarn over, go through all 4 and chain 1. So I'm going to keep repeating that pattern of putting one of these double crochet 3 together clusters in the chain space of each one of these V stitches until I get near the end of the row. And I'll meet back up with you at the end of row 3. Alright, so I'm coming to the end of row 3, and I did my double crochet 3 together cluster in my last V stitch. So I want to go ahead and chain 1 after that. Now at the end we're going to do a double crochet 2 together into the very last stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, go into that last stitch, draw up a loop, and yarn over, go through the first 2. So we're going to do that again, yarn over, go into the same stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2, and you'll have 3 loops remain this time. We're going to yarn over and go through all 3. So that is the end of row 3. So let's go ahead and begin row 4, which is a half double crochet V-stitch row. So we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now remember that chain 1 does not count as anything. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a half double crochet right here on top of this very first stitch, or right in here into this very first stitch. Half double, just like that. Now we're going to go into this first chain 1 space right here, and we're going to work a half double crochet V-stitch. So we're going to go in and half double, chain 1, and half double. And then we're going to jump over here into the next chain 1 space after this cluster, so in between these 2 clusters, and do another half double crochet V-stitch. So we yarn over, go into that space, half double, chain 1, and half double. And this is what row 4 consists of. Putting a half double crochet V-stitch in the chain 1 space in between each of these clusters from the previous row. So that's pretty easy. Go right in between, right in that space, and you half double, chain 1, and half double. Yep, drop that one. Sorry about that. Again, into the next chain 1 space, we half double, chain 1, and half double. Now I'm going to do this all the way across till I get near the end of the row, putting my half double crochet V-stitch in between each of these chain 1 spaces until I get near the end, just like that. Alright, when you make it to the end here of row 4, we're going to do something just a little bit different. Alright? So we're going to go into this chain space, and we're also going to connect it to this stitch right here. So watch carefully. This is the end of row 4. So we're going to yarn over and do a half double crochet into this space. And then we're going to chain 1. And then we are going to do a half double crochet 2 together. Part of it in this stitch and part of it in this one. So this is maybe the toughest stitch of the whole thing, but it's not even tough. So yarn over, go into the same stitch, and draw up a loop like that. And then we're going to yarn over and go into the last stitch here of the row. We're on top of this here. Yarn over and go through the first 2. You'll have 3 loops that remain. Yarn over and go through all 3. So that actually put your V-stitch there as well as ended the row. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? Alright, let's go ahead and start row 5. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So now we're going to start off by putting a double crochet right back into this very first odd stitch that we made from the previous row. So yarn over and go right into the top of it and do a double crochet like that. Now we are going to go directly into the first V-stitch, which is right here, very first one, and we're going to do our double crochet 3 together cluster. So very first one is right here, and do our cluster stitch, or 3 together, double crochet 3 together cluster. Chain 1, and then we're going to repeat this. We're going to do the double crochet 3 together cluster in each one of these chain 1 spaces from the V stitches from the previous row. Chain 1, jump over here to the next V stitch, go into the chain space and work your double crochet 3 together cluster. Chain 1 again into the next V stitch. So I'm going to continue this pattern for row 5 until I get near the end of the row, and that is where I will meet back up with you. And you can see the clusters are now catty-cornered from each other. That's what we want. Looking pretty cool. All right, I've come to the end of row 5, and I did a double crochet 3 together cluster right here in this last V stitch, but I did not chain 1. Do not chain 1 after that one. Just yarn over and directly go and put a double crochet into your last stitch. Just like that. I really like this stitch. I think it's very pretty. And I think it works really good with this yarn. That would make such an adorbs baby blanket with this yarn. I'm gonna have to get some more of this yarn. I think I only have 2 balls of it. I know that's not gonna be enough, but I think it would make an adorable baby blanket. Okay, so now we're gonna do row 6, which is the final row. So final row of the repeat. So we're gonna chain 1 and we're gonna turn our work. And now remember that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So we're going to go back right here into this double crochet from the previous row, and we're going to work 2 half double crochets into that same stitch. So half doubles. There's 1, and there is 2 half doubles into the same stitch. Now we're going to jump to the next chain 1 space in between the clusters and work a half double crochet V stitch. So we're going to yarn over, go into that spot, do a half double, chain 1, yarn over in same spot, and do another half double. So you did your half double crochet V stitch, and that's what we're going to repeat for row 6. So it's very easy. We're going to do a half double crochet V stitch in each one of these chain spaces between these clusters from the previous row. So I jump into the next spot and doing my half double crochet V. And the next spot, it's the chain 1 space in between the clusters from the previous row. We work a half double crochet V, and this is what I'm going to repeat all the way to the end. I'll meet back up with you at the end of row 6. And now our V stitches are also catty cornered from each other, if you can see that. All right, now this is how we're going to end row 6. I just did my half double crochet V-stitch right here in between this cluster. Now we have this cluster left, and then the end chain here. So what we're going to do is just jump right over here to the last stitch and work 2 half double crochets into the last stitch. And that is it. You just keep repeating rows 2 and 3. This would be the front of your work. That is so cute. I'm going to find some more of this yarn. I don't remember where I got it. I'm guessing the Wool Warehouse would be my guess, but that is so pretty. I am going to get this and make a baby blanket out of that. That is so adorable. Or some type of baby item out of it. So after a few repeats, this is what it will start to look like. It's so cool. I love it. And I hope you guys enjoyed my tutorial. Remember, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my videos. And if you could give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below. Let me know if you have used this stitch before, and if you are going to use this stitch, what you're going to make with it. I'd like to know. I'd be curious. You can always hit me up on Instagram too and show me a picture. So until next time, bye guys. Have a good day, okay?